This is the beginning of side 2. We now return to local news with Beverley, who will start with sport.
Enfield fighter Frank Buglioni says he has never been more focused as he seeks to reclaim his WBO European Super Middleweight title against Andrew Robinson at the XL Arena next month. The wise guy lost the belt against Belarusian Sergei Komitsky in April, the first and only defeat of his professional career to date, and will now face 30-year-old Robinson on Saturday, November 29th. Buglioni will be fighting on the same bill as Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury, who go toe-to-toe in their long-awaited rearranged grudge match. 25-year-old Buglioni has since bounced back with consecutive stoppage wins against Sam Cousins and Alexei Rybchev, working under new trainers Steve and Pascal Collins. Looking ahead to the bout, Buglioni said, "I've never been more focused than I am now, and I'm looking to do a real number on him. I'm getting my career back on track now, and a good win against Robinson to get my WBO European title will be another step in the right direction." He continued, "I've had 2 good wins against Cousins and Rybchev, both by stoppage. Since the Komitsky fight, and now with Stephen Paschal on board, I'm excited with the improvement and progress I've made, with much more to come. I'll take it up another level against Robinson, and I'll showcase my skills against a good, strong fighter who has showed plenty of guts and heart in his last fight, with that ear injury to come through and win, but he's going to need a lot more than that to beat me."
Some more sport now. Director of Rugby Mark McCall expressed his relief after Saracens overcame a slow start to secure a 28-21 victory at home to Gloucester in the Aviva Premiership on Saturday. Sarries were looking to bounce back from their first defeat of the season at Bath in their previous outing, but they found themselves trailing 13-3 at the end of the first quarter of this contest. However, 2 tries in the space of 4 minutes from Chris Wiles and Alistair Hargreaves saw them turn the match around as they moved 15-13 ahead by the interval. A further try from Chris Ashton in the second period set the seal on Saracens' triumph before the visitors snatched a losing bonus point by touching down with the final play of the game. "We got off to a slow start and they came out of the blocks pretty well," McCall admitted, "but we showed a bit of resilience and a bit of resolve to get ourselves back into the game, and the charge down which led to our first try gave us a bit of momentum. Some of our attack after that was a little better, and we carried the ball better than last week. We went from 13-3 down to 28-16 up, which was a pretty good effort. I thought we bounced back well. Gloucester worked unbelievably hard, and I don't think we saw that kind of fight from them last year. It was a very physical game, so we are happy to have come away with the win. We're not playing exactly how we want, but we've won 5 games out of 6, and we are pleased at where we are in the league. Now we can switch our attention to Europe." Sarri's other points came from the boot of Charlie Hodgson, who kicked 2 conversions and 3 penalties, while Rob Cook and Tom Savage scored tries for Gloucester and Greg Laidlaw kicked 11 points. Saracens begin their European Champions Cup campaign at home to Clermont Auvergne on Saturday at 3:15 p.m.
And I have a sports item. Enfield Town again failed to get the full reward for an encouraging performance as they had to settle for a 2-2 draw from their trip to Leiston in the Ryman Premier Division on Saturday. Town have played well in recent weeks without always securing positive results, but after a scoreless first half, Phil Kane headed them into the lead against a side who lie just outside the playoff places. But Leiston hit back through Craig Parker and a Gareth Heath penalty, and the visitors needed a late equaliser from skipper Mark Kirby to ensure that they picked up a point. "The boys did well," said player-manager Bradley Quinton. "I was pleased with the performance, considering that Corey Whiteley, Joe Stevens and Neil Cousins were all out. We had more chances than them, and it's a bit disappointing that we didn't win the game. We went in front, but then we made a silly mistake at the back, and then they punished us.
Okay, and now for what's on. There's a classic musical farce at the Williams Theatre, Potter's Bar, and, I beg your pardon, and it's called Lend Me a Tenner. It's running from the 21st to the 25th of October, and I'll repeat, it's at the Williams Theatre in Potter's Bar, and tickets, to get tickets you can ring 07770 871140, or you can go to www.elods.org.uk.
I have some what's on from the Chicken Shed. The first one is entitled Alice on the Underground and is billed as witty, poignant, funky, a gem. It's got 4 stars in Time Out magazine. It's running from the 13th of October to the 25th of October. Tickets are £10 or £8 concessions. For ages 12 plus, it's half price for 14 to 25-year-olds. But you must quote StubHub in order to do that. The next thing is Tales from the Shed. Fun shows for children, 0 to 6 years old. 17th of October to the 1st of November. Friday, 11:30 a.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Then there's a Saturday Shed, performances with workshops for 5 to 12-year-olds. 18th of October to the 1st of November, £6 per session. And next there is music at the Chicken Shed, live music with Joe Collins, Saturday the 8th of November, £9 advance tickets. Or jazz with Leanne Carroll, Friday the 14th of November, £15 advance tickets. Finally, there is Peter Pan. Chicken Shed's Perfectly Magical Adventure is booking now. 26th of November till the 10th of January. Tickets are £11 to £20 and it's ages 5 plus. If you want more details or to buy any of those tickets, just call the box office on 0208 292 9222 or you can visit their website on www.chickenshed.org.uk.
And I have a what's on. The halls of a historic estate will be ringing with music in the weeks running up to Christmas. Details of a string of concerts to be held at Forty Hall in Forty Hill, Enfield, have been announced. The rooms in the 17th century building will resound to classical musicians. The concerts kick off this Friday with a performance from the Apex String Trio, who will dazzle audiences with a selection of Bach, Schubert and Beethoven. Then run throughout November and December and will also feature a festive performance just before Christmas. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Culture, Rohini Simbodial, said that this year's concert series offers something for everyone. She added, these classical concerts, running right through until December, feature an array of acclaimed musicians and performers and are, for me, a real chance to experience a wide range of classical music at its best. From string quartets to soprano, harp and flute, there is something for everyone during this season. Book as soon as you can, as tickets are selling fast. For more information on the concerts can be found at http://www.fortyhallestate.co.uk/what's-on-events.
And now a letter from a Mr. Frank Farmer of Queen Elizabeth's Drive in Southgate, who says, I was very surprised to read that in a recent survey, North Middlesex Hospital did not receive the commendation for cancer care that I believe it deserves. Having been diagnosed with prostate cancer 5 years ago, I attended the hospital every day for 8 weeks for treatment. Everyone I came into contact with, especially the excellent radiotherapy team, were kind, considerate and encouraging. Thankfully, my treatment was successfully and early detection had been an important factor, which is why I also congratulate Professor Stanley Okolu and his team, whose health bus goes into the community, offering health screening and advice. More awareness of this initiative is needed if the wider population of Enfield is to be helped in the way that I was. We should be grateful to have North Middlesex Hospital in the heart of our borough.
I have a letter from Joan Ryan, who's Labour's parliamentary candidate for Enfield North and former MP. I support wholeheartedly Enfield Borough Council's lobbying of the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, to keep 25 extra police officers in the borough. Their work in helping to reduce crime and disorder in Enfield shows the best way to cut crime is to have bobbies on the beat, deterring people from breaking the law in the first place. Despite Boris Johnson's pledge to put 1,000 extra police on the beat London-wide in his 2012 election manifesto, police numbers have dropped dramatically. Since the last general election, we have seen 2 of our police stations shut and lost over 100 police officers and PCSOs in the borough. We can't afford to lose any more. It is vital for the health and well-being of our community that we are able to feel safe in our homes and on our streets. Therefore, it is so important for Enfield to secure the additional resources and to ensure crime does not escalate. Cutting crime must take priority over cutting the police.
And I have a letter from Mr. E. Tibby of Parsonage Lane, Enfield. And he says, regarding the legal fight Konstantinos Regas has against Enfield Council, many landlords, myself included, are on his side, as Enfield is only the second borough in the country to try to get licences imposed. Enfield Council thinks it has ticked all the boxes and is expecting another great windfall of money to waste, as it always does. It hasn't done all the homework, however, as many of landlords are now including this payment on our tenancies for the tenant to pay. Anyone on housing benefits will have to ask housing for this additional money, or we have every right to evict them. Also, don't forget, we can also impose rent rises to cover this additional cost. If they push landlords too hard, we can always rent to the private sector and not take housing association tenants, which will hit the council hard as it already has a major shortage of property. Please, Enfield Council, can you answer me this? Who is going to pay for this licence for council-rented houses and housing associations? Or is this just one rule for us and one for you? Also, if we pay this licence fee, is it going to go private landlords to help improve their properties? I challenge Enfield Council to ask all landlords if they approve of this scheme. If the majority say yes, I will gladly pay for all my properties located in this borough. However, if the majority vote no, then scrap the idea. I believe we have a right to vote on such a major decision, or perhaps we need to take it to the European courts as an unfair tax, as I believe our council tax covers policing, antisocial behaviour, rubbish collection, etc., as set out in this so-called licence.
A head teacher has expressed her pride after her school was chosen to help others. Oakthorpe Primary School in Tilekiln Lane, Palmer's Green, has been awarded lead school status by the Department of Education after being rated outstanding by Ofsted for initial teacher training earlier this year. The school has formed a teaching alliance with Eversley Primary School, which has also become a lead school. Teachers will now help staff in neighbouring schools to raise the standard of teaching across the borough. Head teacher Anne Del Greco said, "We are working in partnership with Assessment and Qualifications Alliance to deliver bespoke training, including training for aspiring specialist leaders of education. We will be able to offer a range of training through them. I'm immensely proud of our teaching staff who deserve this accolade. Our training program has allowed them to become leaders in their field. It is quite incredible for a school to get outstanding for its initial teacher training. That is not something you see every day. Ms. Del Greco added, all schools are unique and have something valuable to offer. There is a lot that we can learn from each other and a lot that we can achieve more effectively together. There may be aspects that the individual schools want to develop, or there may be areas that a number of us want to develop together so that we can tailor activities to suit individual schools or groups of schools.
A quick-stepping partnership waltzed their way to the national finals of a dance contest. Ron Golding and Carmela Centro, who have been dancing together for more than 9 years, swept other entrants aside to be crowned winners of the London and East final of Anchor's Strictly Dancing competition. Mr. Golding, 72, who lives at Ingleborough, a retirement home in Cabell Drive, Enfield, said, "It was a lovely feeling and completely unexpected. Carmela and I really enjoy dancing and regularly dance with a group at All Saints Church in Whetstone." The pair will now represent London in the grand final at the Rivoli Ballroom in South London this week. Judge Trevor West was very impressed with the dancing duo. He said, "The judges were looking for the most creative dance skillfully performed by the competitors. The standards and enthusiasm were very high, but Carmela and Ron were heads above the rest. This was fun. But there was a serious aspect to this competition, raising money for national charity Contact the Elderly, which holds tea parties every month for the over 75s who live alone. Anchor's residents are fortunate as they are surrounded by friends and caring staff, but those living alone can suffer from depression and social isolation because they endure weeks without having the opportunity to speak to anyone."
And I have a column by columnist Bill Linton, who is part of the Enfield Green Party. And he says, Prime Minister David Cameron keeps referring to our values, meaning democracy, the rule of law, fair play, and contrasting them with the values of whomever he plans to drop bombs on this week. His point would be stronger if his actions and those of other Western governments were not so often directly contradictory of our values. All those bombs, for a start, propping up dictatorships on the basis of he may be a bastard, but he's our bastard. Indiscriminate arms sales. Did you know there is a whole government department dedicated to supporting the arms industry? No other industry gets that. Supporting Israel, however many war crimes it commits. Crying human rights abuser at our enemies, but never at our friends. It is precisely our values for which terrorists attack us. At home, Mr. Cameron appears to think that governments can pick and choose which rights to allow us, but rights are inalienable and apply whatever government is in power. The right to life, to a decent education, to freedom from torture or unjust imprisonment. Which of us would willingly give up any of those? People subject themselves to laws because otherwise society does not function. Governments must be subject to the same strictures for the same reason. Any government which finds itself repeatedly on the wrong side of the law should ask itself searching questions. But instead, Mr. Cameron's response is to repeal the Human Rights Act. He must not be allowed to.
Replacement trees are to be planted at Enfield Town Park after a property developer cut down trees and a hedge. Fairview New Homes moved a fence adjacent to the park in Cecil Road, Enfield, in September, which meant 4 trees and a hedge had to be removed. But following discussions between Enfield Borough Council and the developer, an agreement has been made to see mature trees planted and the park restored to a good condition. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment and Community Safety, Councillor Chris Bond, said, Fairview Homes encroached onto council land and caused pretty extensive damage to one of our parks, so it's only right it should make things right. I'm pleased we've been able to come to an amicable agreement about putting things right. Fairview Homes has acknowledged its mistake and is doing the right thing, which is good for the council, community, park users and the company. We will always take action to safeguard our green space, either through enforcement action or through negotiation and mediation, as in this example.
Age UK Enfield celebrated the 24th International Day of Older Persons on 1st of October in collaboration with their corporate partner Fortuna Mobility. The theme this year was Leaving No One Behind, promoting a society for all. The day signifies the United Nations social policy regarding the inclusion of people of all ages. Living up to the Secretary-General's guiding principle of leaving no one behind necessitates the understanding that demography matters for sustainable development and that population dynamics will shape the key developmental changes that the world is confronting in the 21st century. Not addressing older persons means not addressing 20% of the global population by 2030, where there will be more people over 60 than children under 10, with the most rapid change in age structures occurring in the developing world. If our ambition is to build the future we want, we must address the population over 60, which is expected to reach 1.4 billion by 2030. To mark the occasion, Age UK Enfield showcased their activities, projects and services at Fortuna's premises. This coincided with the grand opening of Fortuna's greatly expanded showroom for the mobility, equipment and daily living aids. MPs Andy Love and Nick Dubois cut the ribbon for the official opening of the showroom, and the event entertaining the audience with some friendly political rivalry banter. The day included advice on a range of subjects including fitness, eye care, cholesterol, foot care and other health matters. The Police Safer Neighbourhoods team was on hand to give advice on safety and security. Tony Seagroat, Chief Executive of Age UK Enfield, expressed his pleasure at the success of their partnership with Fortuna. He also thanked both local MPs for finding time in their busy schedules to open the event. There was a great deal of interest from the public, and Elaine Ferguson, Mobility Services Manager at Fortune Mobility, expressed her pleasure at the success of the day.
4 schools have taken part in the capital's biggest educational countryside show. Pupils from Chase Side, St Michael at Bowes, Walker and Wilbury primary schools all visited Leighton Marsh to take part in the Countryside Life show. Pupils were treated to displays of falconry and ferret racing, as well as taking part in activities such as willow weaving and wood turning. The children were also able to meet a range of animals and wildlife, ranging from traditional farmyard animals to more unusual creatures like bats, bees, snakes and otters. The school event, run by Lee Valley Regional Park Authority in partnership with Countryside Learning, invited more than 3,000 children to the event. Year 5 pupil Anissa from Wilbury Primary School said, "I've had a really good time. I learned a lot about potatoes and dogs and made stars with the woodmen." Karen Wheeler, Youth and Schools Manager at Lee Valley Regional Park Authority, said, "So few children and young people get to experience farms and countryside activities. This is a great taster of the power of outdoor learning. Our 10,000-acre classroom provides a wealth of opportunities to engage students, including working dairy farms, visits at Lee Valley Park Farms, river walks, local history programs, orienteering, sensory adventures, and invertebrate studies, discovering the creatures hidden within the undergrowth."
3 young musicians have been awarded music scholarships from the Mayor of London's Music Fund. 9-year-old viola player Layla Jean Francis, who attends Hazelbury Junior School, electronic keyboard player Channa Tumungwa, 7, of St Andrew's Church of England Primary School, and violinist Nathan Chenery, 8, who goes to George Spicer Primary School, were among 70 people across the capital to be given this year's prizes. The scholarships are worth £280,000 and enable each child to be given more than 2 hours of learning and music making a week, as well as their own mentor. Mayor of London Boris Johnson said, "Not every child can afford an instrument or the lessons they need to make real progress as musicians, and the Music Fund is doing vital work to help hundreds of gifted youngsters towards realising their ambitions and achieve their full potential."
Enfield North MP Nick Dubois has backed a campaign to tackle the inequalities faced by men with prostate cancer. The MP has joined the Men United campaign to tackle the most common cancer in men. Men with cancer continue to face injustices, particularly when it comes to accessing the best treatment and aftercare support for their condition. After speaking to Prostate Cancer UK campaigners at the Conservative Party conference in Birmingham, Mr. Dubois has shown his support. He said, "It was very interesting to learn more about inequalities in prostate cancer treatment, including things like location, age and colour. It kills more than 10,000 men every year, and we have to make sure there's a level playing field when it comes to cancer treatment."
A sleep out to help the homeless raised more than £11,000 for charity. All people, all places held the big sponsored sleep out at Enfield Town's Library Green to help raise awareness of people living on the streets. The charity has been working in Enfield and Haringey since 2009, with money going toward winter shelters for homeless people. More than 200 people took part in the event, and managers and staff from Tesco, which sponsored the event, braved the cold for the cause. Enfield Tesco community champion Marcy Thomas said, "We always aim to give a boost to good causes in the Enfield area, and I'm really pleased that Tesco has supported the big sponsored sleep out. The experience really made me realise the reality of what a real homeless person goes through 365 days a year." We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Beverley, Rod,
and myself, Lilian, with Cassandra on controls, it's goodbye.
bye-bye.
Cheerio. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.